I just remember growing up thinking like, it's never gonna get better. I would cry and be like, why did this have to happen to me? I played a victim role.
My life felt out of control at that point, and I needed something to control, but it gets to be that obsession that it's like compulsive, over the top.
It's just so crazy how you don't even really realize that anything's wrong. 3 years later, I realized I had a problem.
It's so taboo to talk about mental health, but it's starting to change. And I basically want people to know you're not alone. We're all suffering from something.
You kind of get this idea that everyone's life is so good all the time and you're the only one going through things. It's important to talk to people about the bad things too, and I think that's almost more important than talking about the good things.
The support in the community is huge. Women, supporting women, men and women supporting each other. It's something that's empowering. We can climb mountains. We can reach the highest peaks. We can do everything that our minds are allowing us to even think or believe. We just have to believe in ourselves. I'm Casey Lichtai and I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I was doing well with cross country and I was, achieving my goals. And at that point, one of our friends, she was going through a very hard time of anorexia.
My name's Amanda Basham and I've been running for 10 years. It's like being an addict. Like you can't just expect to get over it by yourself all of a sudden.
My name is Meredith Edwards. I call myself a mountain endurance athlete. I'm an ultra runner, I'm a skier, and I just like playing in the mountains. I started running at a young age because I suffered from a traumatic incident when I was in first grade. As I got older, I started to remember more things that had happened to me, but the full story is not there. My parents realized something was wrong. I ended up having to go to a therapist. I was in therapy for 7 years. The exams and the therapy basically concluded look, your daughter won't talk about it, she won't reveal it, but something has happened. My diagnosis came out that I had PTSD. When traumatic incidents happen to younger kids, the body's really resilient, and especially the brain, and things start to shut down in order to preserve. It was so bad that by the time I was in 6th grade, I had an ulcer from so much stress and anxiety. I don't think anybody actually ever really knew the severity of the anxiety that I was carrying with me every day. When I was in my early 20s, I did emotionally hit rock bottom. And I just felt like I wasn't in control of anything. Calling my dad once a week and just bawling my eyes out and can't even get words out of my mouth. To me, it was a coping skill without really knowing it directly, but indirectly, I started running to feel safe. It made me feel like if I could run away, then nobody could hurt me.
Actually, it happened when I was in school. I remember walking down the hall one day and one of our other friends came up to us and they mentioned, "Oh, Stacy, you look so thin and beautiful. You look just amazing." Didn't say anything to me. Then I thought, oh my gosh, am I fat? So that kind of warped my mind into thinking, I must not be fit enough, or, I don't account to anything. Well, obviously I gotta run more and lose some more weight. That's what everybody's doing, is losing weight by running. And it became an obsession. I couldn't get myself out of that hole, and I was trying to hide it because I don't want to see that I'm weak. Then it was the breaking point. I remember sitting there sweating and panicked with this pizza sitting in front of me. I'm like, I can't eat this, I cannot eat this. And I started running and crumbled on my knees, and I just started crying to myself. I thought, I can't do this. This is not healthy. This is not me. My mom came up and found me. She saw me crying, and that's when I just let go and I said, Mom, I have a serious problem. I'm not eating, I'm over-exercising. I know this is not healthy. I need help. And within a week, they had already called Children's Hospital. I was sent there for 2 months to recover.
I remember this really specific moment. My freshman year of high school, I was hanging out with the guy I was dating at the time. We were with a couple of friends. They were talking about this girl who had walked by, and we were at the lake, so she was in her swimsuit. His friend said something along the lines of how skinny she was, and saying that it wasn't necessarily a good thing, and the guy I was dating said, girls can never be too skinny. It's hard because you don't really know that it's a problem when it's happening, and people around you don't want to talk about it if they think it's happening, and so it spirals out of control into this crazy thing that you're so far into that it gets really hard to get out of. I remember kind of when it started to progress through high school, where like I had serious problems, like being in the locker room and throwing up. But at the time, life had gotten pretty good. Like I felt better about myself, like being super thin and kind of the good-looking one, finally, instead of the funny one. So I didn't really care. Like I knew it was a problem, but then I just figured I needed to hide it from people.
I just remember one day I just had a really bad, just like a super bad meltdown, and I just started to realize, like, it's just a hurdle. I have to jump over this hurdle. It's here again today. It's going to test me, and we have to every day make the choice to get over it. I've worked in mental health for 10 years, and you see a lot of people that resort to doing things that are just not very healthy for their bodies. I started gravitating more towards running because it was building my self-esteem up and my confidence almost every day. I was really overcoming obstacles. I felt so good about myself, and in that way, running started to give my life back.
I stayed 2 months in the eating disorders unit. I came out of there a new person. Something during that time changed, and I was ready at that point to say, this is my life, I have to take it back. I can't let these thoughts control me. I became healthy, I became strong, I became the Casey I am today, and I'm not gonna lie that I have thoughts all the time, eating disorder thoughts, but there's a way that you can stay healthy with it. Now that running has become such a part of my life, I have found that that has helped me continue to be healthy and strong. It's made me who I am today, and it's not a negative, it's a positive in my life.
I couldn't wait to go running. Like it was just the best time of the day. It was always like what I wanted to do. And it was because of that reason. Like I just didn't want to be sad. Like I knew that that made me feel good. With eating problems, you're just thinking about it all the time, 24/7, from the moment you wake up until late at night when you finally fall asleep. A few years later, I decided to just change things because I couldn't do this anymore. I moved out of Oregon and put everything I own into my truck and drove to Colorado. That was actually the time where it was finally over. Everything was in the past, and all I had was my truck, the stuff that fit inside of it, my running shoes, and I was just going to start this whole new life. I mean, even to this day, it's probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. These things are going on with so many people. Drug addictions, eating disorders, like they're so prevalent. People just keep quiet. I mean, you can change someone's life by just talking to them about it. I believe people have certain personalities, and you can't just take someone who is an addict and tell them to get over it. You almost have to replace what they're doing with something else. Running is just one of those things that can do that for you. It just shows how life-changing running can be.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not showing that you're weak. Like me, I was a very independent person, type A, like I can do all this on my own. I found that breaking point that you can't. Find somebody close to you. Find that person that you can rely on.
Take running and use it as a way to make you so strong that you can take the next step and get help. I think the growth that I've had through running and using it as a tool along with other therapy means has made me into who I am now. You have to choose not to let it control you or own you.